So going into Florida State my freshman year, I would say I had expectations of maybe like I was like, hey, because in high school I was so close to jumping 50 feet. I felt like 50 feet was just not the pinnacle, but at the time that's what I seen as like 15.25 meters. I'm like, hey, 50 feet is like that's really good. That's what I want. That's what I want to aim for. So going into my freshman year, I pretty much was in grind mode. Like, I was in grind mode. I needed to make sure that not only I was able, because I was in dorms as well. So scholarships, the way it worked, I was in the dorms. You're not being in the dorms. You're not gonna get a lot of money back. That's just how it works. You're not gonna get a lot of money back. A lot of the money that you got in scholarship is probably gonna go towards paying for dorms. So I had to make sure that if I wanted that $1,000 at the end for postseason money, I had to make sure I do what I got to do on the track and jump. So going into the season, pretty much 1492, I believe, is my PB. I wanted to jump 15 meters, or 1507 was my PB going into freshman year. My early success came from just the off season. Once they got me on the workout plan, the weights, I started to eat. I went from about 140 in high school to about I went about to like 160. Is my first within my first month and a half. So within my first month and a half, I'd already put on a lot of muscle, a lot of weight. So now I'm able to get off my phases a lot better. I'm able to run faster. I'm jumping more explosively. I took that into consideration. Stretching was a big thing for me. And then also my faith is very high. So I found a lot of the days and the nights where I would be alone in my dorm room. Those would be like the times like where I would just meditate, pray, try to just talk to God a lot and I'm happy that I found that like my very first year because, just moving forward, I'm able to be more straight, So going into the year, it was just a year of no expectations. I just want to go out there and jump. So that just led me to just jumping far. Of course, I had the little knickknacks going outdoor, but indoor season, I ended up winning my first ever collegiate triple jump meet. So I won my first ever meet. So I can always say my debut competition I won. So that's something. I jumped 15 meters as well, or 1492. Then the next meet I jumped about 15 meters. You continue to move forward. I continued to see bigger jumps. And then I had my indoor lifetime PB at the ACC Indoor Championships in Boston. So that was something as well, too, in the stacked field where, I was somebody who wasn't looked at to score. Against all odds, I went ahead and scored. Outdoor as well, we went into it. First meet, I got hurt. I was out for about a month. Just the whole, because I feel like indoor is more soft, the surface is softer, and then outdoor is whatever you put in that ground, that's what the ground's gonna give you. So going into outdoor, I kind of had to get back used to outdoor again, get used to the track, get used to the feeling. I got hurt, like I said, was out for about a month, made sure I rehab, did everything that I needed to do, prayed, stretched, and I mean, the way I got hurt, it was a pretty big foul. Like, it was a big foul. So I knew something was there. And coach continued to tell me, hey, just trust the process, trust the process, trust the process. I came back, my first ever meet, new PB, 15.25 meters. So it's like 50 feet. So I finally got 50 feet. I'm like, man, okay, that's how it feels. And then we get about a week off, and then we go to LSU. I go ahead and I jump 15.44. So now that's about 20 centimeters more than my last PB. And then we go ahead and go to the ACC Outdoor Championships. This is my last ever jump. At this point, I'm seated about maybe like 7th. Like I'm right out of medal contention. My biggest thing, I was like, hey, I'm already here. This is my last jump. I was like, this is my very last jump. I want to be able to use this jump. I want this jump to mean something. So before I got on the track, I prayed. I was like, Lord, I've trust you more than, at this moment, I trust you more than anything. Like this, you've led me to this moment here. I have nothing to lose. I ran down the track, hopped, I stepped, and I got into the sand. And I was trying to remember where the last person was that jumped. And as I got out the sand, like in the video, I could see myself. I looked at myself, and it was kind of like I don't know if it was enough. But at that moment, I was content. I was like, I went out here and I competed and I did everything I did. In that moment, I felt like it wasn't enough. And I was hurting. My ankle was hurting. My body was hurting. Mm-hmm. I'm like, man, it's hurting, man. It's hurting. And then I seen on the screen 15.71. I'm like, whoa. At that moment, everything left my body. The pain, the hurt, the crying, the tear, like just everything just left. I ran down the track. I took my shirt off. I'm on TV on the ACC network with my shirt off. I'm in the middle. I'm ready to backflip. I just jump in the middle of the field. I go on my knees and I start praying. I'm like, thank you, Lord. Like this, like that's just like, cause it wasn't anything to be like, hey, like, like I was a freshman who, coming out of high school, I was one of the better jumpers in the country, but this is my first ever year doing triple jump. Mm-hmm. So it's just that adjustment to get into the triple jump and now learn how to technically jump and not just use my jumping ability to the best of my strengths. I was actually able to learn. So once I learned and everything started to come into place, 15.71 is way completely different from 15.2. So 15.7, that's like, hey, we can go to nationals as a freshman. So I was going into the regional meet, a little bit beat, but I was going into the regional meet like, hey, let's if we go out there and we can produce either the same jump or just jump better, we can go to that national meet. And regardless of what happens at the national meet, at least we made it there as a freshman. Mm-hmm. So I kind of, the success was just taking it a meet at a time. Of course, my faith was very strong and is still, and just making sure that stretching, things like the little things that a lot of people don't talk about, just taking care of your body, making sure that you rehab, use the resources, so getting flushes, getting stretches, getting massages, things like that. I just made sure that I take advantage of. And I was living inside a dope, like I was living in the stadium, man, just in the training room. I was living in there, making sure that I got, because your body treats you how you treat it. Yeah, so if you don't treat your body well, it's not gonna have anything for you. So that's my early success in college, man. I'm thankful for it.
No doubt. I heard a story about when you were at the Carifta games, how your grandmother's house caught fire.
So yes, this was maybe about 2 weeks, a week and a half after Carifta trials. So going into Carifta trials, I had just, I think my PB before Carifta trials was like 14.2. Like I had just started the triple jump. I wasn't really good at it. And then they moved me, of course, to the 42 board. Jumped 15 meters for the first time. Qualified to go on the national team to represent us at the Carifta games. So that was something that was very big in my life, very monumental, definitely changed the course of my career. And then, of course, going to trials, I believe, the night before. So this is the night before competition. My mother, my uncle, my sisters, everybody's in town at our house. At the competition to watch me. My uncles, everything that are in Nassau, they're there. So they're at the competition. I believe it's like 6 or 7 a.m. that this happened, like super early in the morning. So going into the competition, they knew what had happened, but my mom didn't want to tell me that because she wanted to make sure that, my mind is clear and that I go ahead and jump. So I went out there, clear head, clear mind. I went against the at the time, U20 world champion, U20 world record holder. So undoubtedly, of course, I went out there to compete, but everybody knew, like, this guy, he's gonna win, Jaden Hibbert. So of course it was pretty much a race for who's gonna get second, who's gonna jump, who's gonna be second. So I went out there, of course, competing to try to beat him. I end up getting the second place medal, hoisting that medal in front of my people, wearing that flag around my chest, everything like that. I took pride in that. The fireworks came up. Like, that was just an amazing feeling. And then hearing about the news later on in the day about the fire. Like, this is the house that we've grown up in for the last 40 years, 40 or so years. um Seeing the pictures and the videos of just like it completely being from like a two-story nice house being completely flat ground sand, like there's no remains in the house, is just like, it was just wild. And I'm so thankful that my grandmother was in the US at the time, because she was then dealing with her problems, like her lower body problems and things like that. So my granddad, being able to be strong, and he was still in a shape to where he can move and maneuver fast. I'm thankful that although the house was gone, there was no lives lost. Because I feel like everything can always be replaceable except life. Like, so just being able to have life again was amazing. So of course, my grandmother, she was here, so she was safe and alive and well. And my granddad, everybody was like, "Hey, Pastor, get out the house." They made sure that he was able to get out the house. So they went in the house, grabbed him. He grabbed everything that he can. I think he was able to grab his Bible. And like I think he had some socks. They told me he had his socks, one shoe, his boxers, his t-shirt, a Bible, and everything in his hand. And then a few days later, they were able to like recover back a watch and things like that for him. But and then I believe my medal. So my medal, my junior Olympic medal that I devoted to my great grandmother at her funeral, it actually went down in the fire as well. So I mean, it's just a lot of sentimental value, especially. So every time I go home, I gotta go pay homage, especially to where it's at, because that's everything that I've known. So I feel like that was a very big thing, and that happened, especially during my life. But it's just the timing of everything was just insane, because I feel like with that happening, God just placed everything and everything's done for a reason. Everything is done for a reason. So I feel like I just went out there and competed and did very well. And then of course that happens, but then you also got to thank God, like, hey, at least he's still here. My great grandfather, I feel like my great grandfather is my granddad. He's somebody who supports me unconditionally. Grandmother, they support me unconditionally. Mom, like I said, I grew up with them for the first 8 years of my life. So just seeing life in them is what made everything else worth it. So I went back home a couple weeks then later, and then I had a big parade as well. I had a big parade. I was in the back. The island celebrated me, and they gave me like a plaque with my name on it, congratulating me for what I did. So thankful for it. I'm thankful for it, especially for my peoples too. Bimini, Bahamas, we're a very small island, but people, they a lot, like, they have heart. They have heart. They're with you 100%. So especially somebody like VJ now, like I'm super happy with what VJ is doing, especially with the community, to be able to help out, and it's bringing everybody together in terms of just not only just the country, but our little island as well. So